Hello there folks, I'm Dan Brown from asortofinterestinglife.com and today we're going to head out on another one of my lovely little walks, this time one of my classic old walks, but first of all I've got to show you, just look at that behind me, well absolutely perfect, just how good is this to wake up to, absolutely stunning, and oh once again here come the geese. Anyway, before we go on this walk, I've first of all got to hop onto this lovely little bike and then ride about 6 miles in that direction before I then leave my bike at my mum's house, bless me, and then head up on the actual walk up Old Oswestry Racecourse. After a pretty pleasant bike ride in this beautiful weather, we are now already walked through Oswestry town itself to this Oswald's Well, which legend tells after I think the Battle of Field, King Oswald was tied to a tree and dismembered, and then, as depicted by that statue up there, an eagle came down, picked his arm up, and as it flew away, dropped his arm on this spot, at which point the spring sprang up, so to speak, and has been trickling ever since. This I always call the first field, and if I say that we're probably about a 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk, absolute tops down that road, and we could be in the centre of Oswestry town. This is why I call it the first field, because with literally minutes of walking, look where we have just ended up. And now we can pretty much walk up to all of these hills without ever really leaving a field, or at the very least getting on some very rural country lanes. I absolutely love the detail of this fantastic old little brick drainage system, and there's always been, just around the corner there, a single plank of wood, which is the crossing if you come over a stile from the road. Lovely stuff. Check this out for a view. Absolutely amazing as always. And when I flip the camera back around here, a place known as Landlord Hall used to be just in there, but as you can see it's not looking too good these days. But amazingly, all of that structure there is the old walled garden and sort of outbuildings. And I've done a separate video on this in the summer, showing close up how the trees and everything have all grown up through it. So definitely, I don't know, search on YouTube for nature reclaiming an old building, Landlord Hall. Sooner or later we had to start walking uphill, so might as well make it a good one. It's only a very short incline. Well, what I didn't expect to see as we climbed this hill was one very large turkey, and then on the other side, as if it's the gatekeeper, another one. Unbelievable. So yeah, we're about to head up there, which as you can see, oh what a day it's turned into. And when we get to the top, we'll have just a little bit better view than this. I'm not sure if you can see the moon just to the left of the top of that tree there, but what we really want to see is this panorama, and it's one that I've posted in various videos over the years. But still, just look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And to say that we're hardly any sort of elevation up here, and it's just, like I say, really, this is what you can find in hardly any walking. I'd say I'm probably still well under an hour's walk back and I could be in the centre of Oswestry, and this is what's right on the doorstep. I mean, I've been up here, I couldn't tell you how many 100 times in the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah, 4 and 5, I'd say probably 5 years that I really started coming up here. That is terrifying to think, where has the time gone? As we drop down just off the fields, this is one of those great silent places. Watch the mud, but this I absolutely love. Stepping over on these old stone steps, and that leads us down into the woods. Right, make sure you've got your bearings, otherwise it could all get a bit Blair Witch. Somewhere up there we've got a helicopter flying over, and I'll certainly use this as a moment to say, if this is how good it looks from down here, imagine what it'd be like from up there. Say that all of this was cleared, and it's a perfect, simple, straightforward pathway. Don't know if you can see on the camera that it is nothing but trees collapsing everywhere, and there's some very big ones that are just waiting for the wind to knock them out of place. This is one of the paths that I've always made sure that I always come down this way whenever I've walked up here, and the differences and changes I've seen over the seasons. And once again, I mean, if you look up there you can see We've got so many trees that are waiting to fall. One last time I'll say it. This was, I promise, once upon a time, and not too long ago actually, a completely cleared path. Just before we join back onto the normal path there, I'll point out this as a place of interest, if I can fetch that up. Those stones at the top there is where I've sat and written short stories. I've literally fetched my little laptop out here and sat there. I've drawn pictures. I mean, back in sort of 2009 and then 2011, the amount of just general coming out here for peace and quiet has been unbelievable. And that is what I've always considered my own personal little secret rock. And of course, because I'm obsessed with my earthy coloured clothing, the amount of people who have walked past me along this path and never known I was there is quite scary really, and shows how much you can miss that's right by you. Well, we have now reached sort of the busy part. This is the top of the racecourse, and just a little bit up there is the racecourse car park, and well, let's see what it's like. It's quite interesting to try and start fitting and filming around all the people who pop up and around. Now this has to be one of the sort of most spooky places ever. When I came up here and it was completely covered in mist, and you know, the perfect sort of horror film classic haunted house sort of garden. Well, this, I can promise you, was the perfect driveway up to some old mansion where goodness knows what sort of a butler would have answered the door. I really do love it down here. For interest's sake, I suppose I better point out the reason this is called the racecourse is because, as those old buildings there, or what's left of them, suggest, this was, once upon a time, actually an old horse racing course. And there, if I can get out of the sun glare there, there's your double-headed horse, as if to prove the fact. And I think we'll just walk around the corner, and then I'll show you the view over Oswestry and the plains, and that will be the end of this trip. So, as we stand and have one final look at the distant hills and all the plains of Shropshire, you can see how low the terrain is on this side, and it's really what's behind me, and then all over to the left hand side of the camera is where all the hills are in this region. I think it's about time that I said thank you very much for watching. I'm about to drop down onto a road that runs just along the front there, and then I think because it's so wet about, I don't want to cut straight through all the fields, because you can almost go, I suppose, very directly back into town that way. But I don't want to just show you the country lanes, because I'm sure you've seen enough of those in these videos. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, check out my other videos for a load more of outdoorsy stuff and my life on a little narrowboat. Until the next time, make sure for more and photos and all sorts, like the Facebook page. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. Feel free to add my personal account on Facebook too. And obviously, you've got to make sure you check out my 2 books about living on a narrowboat. They're only short, The Narrowboat Lad and The Narrowboat Lad Living the Dream. And until the next time, have a fantastic day. I'll see you around soon, and farewell.